Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel for a Gameweek 9 preview. Today I'm joined by the big man himself, Bakar, who was on the back of a very solid green arrow, thanks in part to Raheem Sterling. Bakar, you were patient and it paid off. No wildcard activator for you, and it went well. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, hello, Jack. Hope you've been well. Hello and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. Gameweek 8 was very, very good for me. And I've needed it because I've had a very rough few weeks, especially in Gameweek 5, 6, 7. Haven't been having the best of times of late, but it was very, very good. I kept faith with Sterling and Pickford, who did really well. So
Yeah.
despite the fact that the United mids blanked again and Pomo blanked again, some patience was finally rewarded. I had double Spurs defense as well, so that worked out well. And I kept pace with most of the wildcarders. So that was more than welcome, and I'm hoping I can do similar this week.
Well, a million green arrow. You've done a lot better than a lot of wildcards. I mean, I wildcarded and you did a lot better than me. I think what I quite like about this is that even though the United mids didn't do well, the fact that Sterling did do well kind of counteracted that, because a lot of the mids that people brought in on wildcard didn't do that well, really. And it just shows that you don't need all your players to do really well to have a good game week. All it took really was one good haul. Obviously, you made a good transfer in with the Tottenham defender, but yeah, Sterling doing the business, Pickford as well, super nice. You've got to be content with that. And what are your plans now moving forward? That's the question, because obviously you still have that wild card.
I'm very content with the way last week panned out to be. Going forward, it's going to be an interesting one because I still don't think my team necessarily requires a wild card in game week 10, but I think I will probably go for it. What makes this tricky is that my transfer this week is dependent on whether or not I choose to commit to a game week 10 wild card.
Yeah.
And that is where I'm having a difficult time, because I don't think my team definitely requires a wildcard. I can get Salah with a 4-point hit next week. So it's effectively a choice between taking that hit and ignoring Arsenal, ignoring Villa, because those are the two teams which I don't have any coverage from, and taking the hit, potentially fielding a suboptimal team for the weeks to come, only for then to wildcard in game week 19. Now I have to weigh up whether that game week 19 window, the gains made in that window, are big enough for me to ignore the wildcard in game week 10. I'm very, very unsure about this, but as of now, I'm leaning towards wildcarding in 10 because, I mean, I can see some gains to be made over there. And I've shown a lot of patience, but I sort of don't want to be overly defensive as well.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of worried that not wildcarding in 10, taking a hit, fielding a suboptimal team might make me fall in that trap of being overly defensive. But again, it's a tough decision to make, and I'm not entirely sure which way I'll go.
Before we look at your team for Game Week 9, first of all, obviously it's been the international break. For someone like me that's been kind of out of the loop, there'll be obviously other FPL managers watching that may not have, been on Twitter or kept up with news or even watched international football. Anything that we need to be aware of? Any injuries or kind of just things that have happened that might affect our decisions?
Thankfully, it's been a quiet break. I don't think there's been much news. I think Portman posted an Instagram story over the break that he's potentially going to be fine for this weekend. And the big one was the Robertson injury, where he dislocated his shoulder. So there is a chance that if he requires surgery and if he's out for a couple of months or 3 months, then Tsimikas could become a bit of a regular, and he's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
If he's an enabler at 4.4 million with the timing of Liverpool's promising fixture schedule, then Tsimikas becomes a bit of a gift for us.
Yeah.
But again, this is dependent on what Jurgen Klopp says in the press conference on Friday, and before that, it's all speculation.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen how attacking he can be before. I remember the start of was it last season or season before, where he was that 4 million kind of budget option that started the season because of Robertson's injury, and he did really well for a lot of FPL managers. Definitely potential there. Okay, mate, this is your team. Chat to me right now. Obviously, as you said, a lot depends on what you're going to do in game week 10. I guess the point being that if you are going to wildcard in 10, it's kind of, time for a punt, right? One game week. Who have you got your eye on if you are to do that?
Again, I mean, I'll firstly run through why I'm not wildcarding in game week 9. There are some managers who's wildcarding in game week 9. So I potentially don't really like the idea, because when you look at the fixtures, Jack, Man United are a team you'd probably want to reduce coverage from. I have both Bruno and Rashford. I don't think on a game week 10 wildcard I'd have both. This is a team I want to reduce coverage from. United have Sheffield United at home, away from home this week. And Sheffield United are comfortably the worst team for XG, XGC, all the underlying data. So I know Bruno and Rashford have been really poor. I keep hearing it every week, but surely
This is
the week
different.
for
I
them
think
to
this is
come
a
back.
I think this is different. I think last week,
And
for example, like, you know,
yeah,
Brentford are a solid team. They're a solid defensive
yeah.
team. I think, you know, if you said United are out of form, it's time to go, I think that's fine. But this week, it does not get any better than this fixture. So I completely
And
understand.
I think playing away from home should help them as well. I think the atmosphere at
Yeah.
Old Trafford is a bit toxic, so I think this could potentially work in their favor. So Man United have one team. Secondly, Spurs. Spurs are playing home to Fulham this week. I have 3 from Spurs, and I will probably have one maximum on wildcard in
Okay.
10. Again, another team I want to reduce coverage from. Maybe Brentford. Again, Brentford have a home fixture to Burnley this week.
Yeah.
Same applies with Newcastle as well. With I own Botman, I own Trippier, and I don't think I will own any. If any, I will probably have one at best from game week 10 because Newcastle's fixtures are taking a bit of a turn from next week as well. Their best fixtures are behind them. This is the best fixture at home to Palace this week. So the team looks good on paper, and that's why I don't think I like the idea of a game week 9 wildcard because there's a clear picture swing after this week as opposed to this week.
Yeah, I don't think you can possibly wildcard this team. If anything, really, there's arguably just one player in here that has a bad fixture. I don't even know necessarily how bad it is, but Sterling has Arsenal at home. What are your thoughts on him now?
Again, I think if I'm committing to a game week 10 wildcard, my transfer would be dependent on team leagues this week.
Okay.
I say that because Alvarez is at slight risk of being benched. He played 78 minutes last night. And again, all the South American players, historically, traditionally, we've seen have been at risk of being benched after the international break.
Yep.
The good thing is that City are playing on Saturday, and very recently, Alvarez played after playing in Bolivia. That fixture was on a Saturday on 3 p.m. as well. This one is at a similar time. City are playing at home. So I think there's a good chance that Alvarez plays. And if he plays, then obviously I'm going to keep him at home to Brighton. Brighton's defensive underlying data has not been as good as it was last season. Even this year, they're on the wrong end of all the defensive underlying metrics. So I think he's a perfectly good hold. If he was benched, then I would potentially look at selling him for one of the forwards. I mean, Højlund is a good 1 week punt, but do I want to put myself through the misery of owning
Triple up a United attack
Triple
after everything that's happened? That is unbelievable. But the ceiling is there, and Højlund looks good.
The ceiling is there.
In isolation, that's a good pick. That's funny,
in isolation, he's a good pick because when you look at the stats from Man United, ever since he's started playing, he's comfortably the best for XGI. He's the main goal threat in that team, not Bruno, not Fernandes. Sorry, not Rashford, right?
Yeah.
So in isolation, he's probably the best pick from the United guys in terms of goal threat. I mean, other than Højlund, I mean, Darwin, if we get news that he's playing, again, a very good pick to have at home to Everton. Similarly, Watkins, I mean, you know what you're getting with him. 90-minute man. He's had 31 goal involvements since Unai Emery has taken over as Aston Villa manager, which is just behind Salah and Haaland. So clearly, he's been a model of consistency. He'll continue to take along with points as well. So there are picks to get, plenty of appealing strikers. But let's say if Alvarez is playing, I don't think I'll sell him. I would rather focus on selling Sterling instead. Like you said, he's probably the weak link in the team.
Well, if Alvarez is playing, then yeah, for sure.
In terms of the ceiling.
Yeah.
Because again, Arsenal are second for non-pen XG conceded. I don't see a haul in this fixture for Sterling. So I'd probably sell him. Who I
Question
get to
is who's for?
Who for?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I mean, if Jota is playing, maybe him. Again, dependent on team leagues.
Mm-hmm.
If not, then maybe Gibbs White. He's playing Luton at home on penalties, 90 minutes. Again, doesn't really seem the most fashionable of picks, but the fixture is there to target, and they're playing at home, and penalties in 90 minutes, these kind of things always help. Yeah. So this is where I'm at. If I decide that I'm not going to wildcard in 10, then I can probably just simply roll a transfer this week and decide what to do with 2 free transfers next week.
Yeah. It's a really good spot to be in. I think the risk with not wildcarding last week is already gone now, because that was the risk. The team didn't look great on paper, to be fair, last week. And you had a few players that weren't performing really that well. But with Sterling and Pickford combining for 25 points, then yeah, you're kind of fine now. And now the team looks really good. I mean, you can see 95% game week rating, pretty much everyone's at home apart from United away to Sheffield United, which is a great fixture. Yeah, I feel like you're in a really, really strong position. A question on Botman.
Yeah.
Would he come into the team? I don't see how he possibly could, to be honest, but Newcastle's defence is so good, and it's a very good fixture at home to an Eze-less Palace. Anything there?
I was actually selfishly hoping that he probably won't be fit for the weekend, but looks like he will be.
Yeah.
And that puts me in a bit of a spot. I could even play 4-4-2 and bench Sterling.
I was about to say that. I mean, obviously, if you are gonna, I mean, you wouldn't do that. I know you wouldn't do that, but if you were,
it's
definitely not wildcarding 10. It's an option.
I won't do it. I don't think I will do it, but it's an option, and it's not a bad option because as of now, I'm currently leaning towards playing Botman over Udogie this week.
Oh, really?
That's what I'm leaning towards.
Really?
I mean, I can't bench Trippier.
No.
I can't bench Porro.
No.
I mean, you saw how attacking Porro was against Luton. He
was excellent. Chance. Should have scored. Yeah.
So I can't bench the United guys. I can't bench the City guys.
No way.
I can't bench Mbomo at home to Burnley.
But you also can't bench Udogie. I love it. He's so good. Right. Even in the England Italy game for the Italy goal, just brilliant. Yeah. I'm so impressed by him. To be fair, whatever you end up doing, it's a really good first bench spot. So the team's looking very, very solid for this week. If I have to ask you now, say we don't get any team leaks, what are you? Obviously, we're a few days out from the deadline, but what would you do if I'm pressing you for an answer right now? Deadline's in 5 minutes. What are you doing?
Because I assume that Alvarez will play, and because I'm currently leaning towards, let's say it's 60-40 towards wildcarding in 10. Then I think I'm going to sell Sterling. And I could get Foden, but I'm not overly convinced by his underlying data. So I don't know. It's either Liverpool mid or Gibbs wide, I think, for me. I think that's how I'm going to go. Maybe Foden if I feel like it, but those are the three options that I'm contemplating.
Okay.
If Alvarez is benched, then obviously I'll sell him for one of the strikers that I mentioned. Again, that's a very tough order depending on whether Darwin is playing. A lot of things depend on team leagues, right?
Which we may or may not get, but I completely agree. You need that information, don't you, to make a decision when it's
exactly. So like I will be in a much better position to decide, I think, on Saturday, and I'm going to leave my transfers till Saturday because I think I'm relatively well placed this week.
Sure.
The main risk of not wildcarding in 10 is that I don't think I'll have a route to Cash or Watkins. And I won't have a route to Saka as well. I think those are the big ones that I'm going to miss.
I can
get Salah in.
If you can get Salah in for a hit, it's just what you said at the start of the video. Personally, it's just like, do you want to, take a hit to have a suboptimal team when I really think you can attack 10? And I think you can see now that your team will be different to Game Week 8 wildcarders. You have, as you said, less Tottenham coverage. I mean, everyone that wildcarded in 8 had 3 Tottenham players guaranteed. You're saying then that would you stick with Son or would you just stick with the defender? Because I don't think you can have Saka, Salah, Haaland and Son, or can you?
I can't get Saka, but
okay,
unless I'm selling Fernandes. But I think Fernandez's fixtures from 10 are more or less the same as Saka. I don't think it's a big upgrade. I think Fernandes and Saka are more or less, they have the same ceiling from Game Week 10 onwards. So I'm fine keeping Fernandes. Rashford is the one I want to get rid of, right? Because these early subs, I mean, these 65, 70-minute subs are kind of annoying me. So if Salah is to come in, then I'll probably sell Rashford. And he'll be funded by a Trippier to Gabriel Downgate. Now, what I like about this is if I do Sterling to Gibbs White, let's say I do Sterling to Gibbs White this week, right? What I like about this is that it sort of gives me more flexibility to decide if I'm wildcarding in 10, because then I can get Salah in one move. I can do Trippier to Gabriel and Rashford to Salah in one move. In 10.
For flexibility reasons, it obviously always makes sense to leave your options open. It's just it's whether you want to really chase upside this week. So let's do it. Let's do those moves. So you would this week then roll.
I mean, I could do
Gibbs White.
I could rule or I could do Gibbs White. Yeah.
Okay. So Sterling to Gibbs White is what you could do, right? Okay. And you have to do that to be able to. So you couldn't go to a Jota or something like that because you'd need the money to fund this later down the line. Exactly. Would Gibbs White then go on to the... So Gibbs White this week, and then Game Week 10, what would you do? Trippier down to Gabriel.
Gabriel or Cash, one of those two.
Fine. Let's do
And
Cash for
probably
now.
Cash. Yeah, Cash for the ceiling, I guess.
Yeah.
And Rashford is Salah for -4.
It's just, I think, yeah, you need, obviously it's just up to you whether you value the flexibility and the, I mean, do you think the upside is going to be there for a wild card in Gameweek 19? That's the question. Is that going to be more beneficial to play it then? Because this team looks all right, but it's not great.
Yeah, it's all right, but it's not great, exactly, because it doesn't have Watkins, it doesn't have Saka,
and it
doesn't have the Arsenal defense.
Yeah, I mean, and then
it still has Pickford.
Exactly, it's got Pickford. West Ham away, it's not ideal. I mean, Botman at least is there and fit again, but again, not ideal. You'd be having Gibbs White on the bench a lot, which is not great.
Yeah. Even triple Spurs isn't great from 10.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So this is no Saka in here. So you're saying that Fernandes would cover or would do similarly to Saka. I mean, that's an interesting debate on its own, which I think we'll get to next week. But off the rip, you'd be starting there with Man City at home for Bruno in Gameweek 10. But I mean, he may be in your wildcard anyway.
That's fine, but after Gameweek 10,
afterwards. Yeah.
After Gameweek 10, you're gonna get Fulham away, Luton at home, Everton away. Now that's a really good run, and I think that he can come close to Saka in that run. I am very certain of it. In fact, even if I wildcard, there's a chance I might pick Bruno. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do that, but I understand your reasoning. I think the problem with this is that the Gameweek rating for Gameweek 10 is very well. It's not great, but the team rating overall after that is good. So again, you'd be going into Gameweek 10 on a hit for a suboptimal team anyway. So in reality, you're probably looking at 7 to 10 points down, really. I mean, maybe more. Depends obviously how it goes, and there's obviously a lot of variance there. But
I'd like to hear I'd like to hear the viewers' thoughts as well. So
yeah, get in the comments.
Please do get in the comments below and let me know whether you think I should take a hit. If yes, what moves would you make? And if not, then just let me know whether I should definitely wildcard in 10, because as of now, I'm not entirely sure. And that's affecting my transfers this week, which is sort of annoying me because I'm in a good position for once this season. And so to have some FPL dilemmas despite this thing is kind of annoying.
I think it's a good spot to be in though, because you're off the back of a healthy week where you don't need to panic. You're not like, oh, my team looks awful, and you still have the wild card. I think in terms of spots that you could be in, it's pretty solid. Before we end this video, I will just have a look at your AI recommended transfers for this week, because it obviously this will change depending on what you do in terms of are you going to wildcard in 10 or not. But without that information, Fantasy Football Hub's AI is saying to sell Alvarez for Watkins. Now, again, that doesn't have the long-term planning that you've just mentioned there. But I mean, I guess if you were looking for a one-week punt and Alvarez was to be benched, it's saying that Watkins would be the best option up front. But again, this is for a more long-term than 1 week. Again, it would depend on your Game Week 10 moves. But interestingly, this is saying that is the recommended transfer, and only the alternative is the bank, which I guess kind of infers that Salah isn't essential. Looking at the AI, just a quick word on Salah going forward. Everton at home, is it a super strong fixture? You know, I'm trying to say, is he imperative to get in for people like you that don't have him?
Firstly, regarding the AI transfers, I think it's taking the assumption, like I mentioned, that Alvarez could be benched this week. Yeah. There is that risk of expected minutes, so that's the reasoning behind it. And this is a transfer I might as well do if we get news that Alvarez is benched.
Yeah.
Secondly, on Salah, this week I don't think he's a must-have, because as mentioned earlier, I think Haaland is the best captain. He's top for XG in the game, and when you're playing Brighton, who are conceding chances for fun, I think he's perfectly fine to have. And let's say I didn't have the United mids, etc., I'd be slightly more worried with Salah, but again, I have Son. I can't really have them all, right?
Yeah.
And Liverpool, even though I do expect Salah to get, let's say, 9-10 points this week, they haven't. We've seen historically they've sort of struggled after the early kickoffs, and because we don't expect all of Nunes, Salah, and Diaz to play. I think minutes could be managed there for the rest of the attack as well. So I just don't see Liverpool winning 5-6-0 in this fixture. I think they'll win 3-1 type, 2-1, something along those lines. And it's an early kickoff as well, so you'd expect that this game won't be as high scoring. Klopp has complained several times regarding the early kickoffs as well.
Oh, he has.
So,
Oh, he
yeah.
has. He loves to complain, that man. He does love
If
a
I
complaint about fixture congestion, that is for sure.
if I had the opinion that Salah is the best captaincy option, then I would have been more worried about him. Then I possibly would have even thought of wildcarding in 9. But I think my team is fine without him.
Yeah. No, I agree. Team looks very good. And there you go. Yeah, that is your AI recommended transfer. As always, guys, if you'd like to have your own or see your own AI recommended transfers, the link to do so and sign up to Fantasy Football Hub is down below. Currently 30% off, and you get a 7-day free trial. If you don't like it, you can stop it immediately and you get, you don't have to pay. So if you want to see a free transfer and your recommended transfer, you don't like it, you can sack it off. You won't, but you can. It's an option. That is the beauty of the 3-day trial. 7-day free trial anyway. Easy enough for me to say. Bakar, thank you as always for carrying me through this video. I like that you said, I hope you were well at the start of the video, even though I messaged you earlier saying, video this week's in jeopardy because I'm absolutely destroyed by a virus, but I feel all right today. So we're back. It's been a good one.
Take care, Jack. Thank you for taking the time out for the video.
It's good. I really enjoyed this,
appreciate
actually.
it.
Good stuff. Always like chatting with you. And
it.
it's good to be back into FPL mode. Looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah.
Couple of good fixtures actually, which should be fun. Again, I'm just really interested to see how the United mids do. If they blank against Sheffield United away, then their prices next season, 4.5 million, both of them, in my opinion. That is the only possible solution. Bakar, thank you, mate. Again, if you do want to see Bakar's final decisions, as he said, the entire video is going to come down to the wire, and it's going to depend on team leaks. Both our Twitters are on screen for up-to-date news and opinions and stuff. But also, your final team reveal will be on Fantasy Football Hub, the website. Once again, check that out down below. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Good luck this game week. And me and Bakar will see you on the next one.
Pleasure, mate.